Hello guys, welcome back to Napoleon JR TV. In today's video guys, ay pag-uusapan natin ang nawawalang flight ng Malaysian MH370. Naalala nyo ba guys nung nawawala yung MH370? Ngayon ay pag-uusapan natin kung paano ito nawala at kung saan ito matatagpuan. So guys, watch until the end.
March 8, 2014, Malaysian Airlines Flight number 370 en route to Beijing, China from Kuala Lumpur checked in with Malaysia Air Traffic Control. "Good night, Malaysia 370" were the last words anyone heard from Flight 370. There were three major investigations in the immediate aftermath of the crash. Australia led the main investigations and search efforts as they were the closest to the assumed crash site, 1,200 miles southwest of Perth, and were well equipped to handle a major marine search. They began searching by air but found no trace of the plane. The time wasted searching the South China Sea likely cost them any chance of recovering the wreckage and the plane's black boxes. After 2 months of fruitless air searches, the team turned their attention to mapping and scouring the ocean floor in one of the deepest, most unexplored regions of the Indian Ocean. Unsurprisingly, their efforts failed to find any sign of the plane, and the investigation was closed after 3 years. The Malaysian police conducted their own internal investigation, which mainly consisted of background checks on the passengers and crew. The results were underwhelming, to say the least. The report was released in 2017, and it concluded that they were unable to determine a cause for the disappearance of flight MH370. It also cleared all passengers and crew of any suspicion. The third official investigation was an international accident inquiry, and it was a mess from the start. International cooperation in the immediate aftermath of a tragedy is difficult under the best of circumstances, but dealing with the autocratic and corrupt Malaysian regime made it nearly impossible to conduct a thorough investigation. It was clear that the Malaysians just wanted the whole situation to go away. It's unlikely they were covering up anything sinister. They simply didn't know what they would find if they looked too closely, and they couldn't risk uncovering anything that would reflect poorly on the government or its airline. It quickly became obvious that the Malaysians knew a lot more about the disappearance than what they shared with the world. A Malaysian military base picked up the plane on their radar after it deviated from its flight path, but they neglected to investigate the unexpected aircraft because it looked friendly. The Malaysians knew about the change in flight path early on and withheld that information even as rescuers wasted precious hours and days searching in the wrong area. In time, more details that Malaysian officials tried to keep secret would find their way to the public and help paint a picture of what had happened to flight MH370 and why. But at the time, due to a lack of cooperation and reliable data, the third investigation was also unable to determine a cause for the disappearance and was closed.
Why the plane disappeared was that the Malaysian pilot, Captain Zahari Ahmed Shah, had hijacked it in an act of political activism. And it's a theory now given more weight by Richard's more detailed flight path. 3 hours into its journey, MH370 enters an oval-shaped holding pattern for 20 minutes.
This point here is where the holding pattern takes place, which is strange to me when you're trying to lose an aircraft in the remotest part of the southern Indian Ocean, that you enter a holding pattern for 20 minutes.
What do you think was happening in that time? Do you think that's when he may have been communicating with the Malaysian government?
He may have been communicating with the Malaysian government. He may have been checking whether he was being followed. May have just simply wanted time to make up his mind where I go from here. I hope that if there was any contact with authorities in Malaysia, that after 8 years now, they would be willing to divulge that.
That someone, Captain Zahari most likely, killed all the passengers and deliberately flew MH370 into the middle of nowhere has long been debated. When the plane first went missing, Peter Foley and the ATSB discounted the theory, but time has changed Peter's view. So you think it's possible that the plane was piloted by an active captain?
Well, it's possible that the plane was piloted at the end, but we don't know for certain, and we won't know until we find that debris. We have to find the debris to know precisely what happened on board that aircraft.
It's the most likely scenario, isn't it?
Yeah, by a wide margin.
Mass murder-suicide.
Well, if you put it like that, yes. Yes.
It's chilling.
It's horrifying.
Peter Foley was put in charge of finding it. The Australian Transport Safety Bureau Operations Chief failed, but not for want of trying. 4 years ago, the $200 million search was called off, a decision the now retired Peter says was plain wrong. Now, aerospace engineer Richard Godfrey thinks he can narrow the search to a much smaller area, a mere 300 square kilometres. It includes some area that's already been looked at, as well as virgin seabed never before probed. Why would a search be any different this time? Why would we turn something up this time?
With this very difficult terrain, it is possible to miss wreckage. When you're going through 120,000 square kilometres, you get one chance, one pass of each point. With 300 square kilometres, you can afford in just a couple of weeks to go several passes from different angles.
If Richard Godfrey is onto something, his tracking of MH370's flight path not only pinpoints where the plane ended its journey, it also reveals an extraordinary quirk much earlier in the flight.
Everyone has assumed up until now that there was a straight path, perhaps even on autopilot, perhaps even a ghost flight. I think there was an active pilot for the whole flight, and it certainly wasn't a straight line.
There are very few solid facts about the plane's final resting place.
Fact number 1 is in the Indian Ocean. Fact number 2, the flotsam surfacing of Madagascar would suggest that the aircraft is somewhere in the Indian Ocean. Now they're the only facts that I have.
Out on the Indian Ocean, it's pretty lonely.
It's very lonely. There's often no one within 1,000 miles of you. You won't hear anyone on the radio.
From the cockpit of a retired 747, Richard contemplates the isolation of flying a plane over the deserted Southern Ocean.
When MH370 vanished 8 years ago with 239 people on board, nobody back then could have imagined we'd still be searching for it today.
Sa palagay nyo guys, tama ba si astronaut engineer Richard Godfrey ng Malaysian MH370 na nawawala ay matatagpuan somewhere sa Indian Ocean? Kung kayo ay may alam guys, ay just comment down below. At don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.